Hey, looking forward to this one. Mountain Crest Wrestling has been the epitome of Utah wrestling for so many years, going back to 2000 when Davey Swenson was running the reins with the Loft House Clan and state championship after state championship, just rolling into the trophy case with Mountain Crest Mustangs, and they're back at it again thanks to their new head coach, Jay Tovey, who joins us here on the Full Court Press. Coach, thanks for your time. Great to have you. Happy holidays.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
Hey, so you come from Oregon State, a premier Pac-12 school of wrestling. Why come, and I mean this all due respect to Hiram, why come to Mountain Crest and be a head coach? What was the journey like there?
Yeah, so my wife and I got married, and I had a year left of school in wrestling at Oregon State University. And after I graduated and was done wrestling, we were kind of trying to plan what we wanted to do, and she went to school up here at Utah State and had some good job connections and family that lived up here, and we kind of thought it would be just a pit stop, maybe like a year or so, and I was going to do grad school, and anyways, we ended up here, and I was helping out with some wrestling in the area when we first got here. I love the sport, and I've been around it my whole life, and I wrestled the Loft Houses growing up, just at national tournaments. So I knew the Loft House name, but I had no idea they were from here in Cache Valley. No idea. So I met Coach Swenson at a tournament. He just said, Jay Tovey, and I said, who are you? And we introduced ourselves, and he said, you used to wrestle our Loft House kids? And I said, oh, yeah. And just made my way over to Mountain Crest, and Davey set up an interview for me the day after the state tournament back in, it would have been probably 2017 or something, 2016. He said, hey, I got an interview set up for you. Do you want to be a head coach, and do you want to teach? And I said, absolutely, to both, and I'm here.
So where did you grow up? I mean, where's home base for you?
Yep. So I grew up in Roseburg, Oregon. It's southwestern Oregon, and my head coach was Coach Steve Lander, and my dad was the assistant coach there. And Roseburg has won. My freshman year, we won state for the first time in like 30 years. And then Roseburg has rolled off about 10 or 11 in the past 13 years.
Wow.
State championships in Oregon. So I came from a big wrestling family, wrestling community, and I was really just trying to find a place. I mean, I knew I wanted to stay in wrestling and I wanted to coach. I didn't know if I wanted to be a head coach right away, but I kind of just fell into it. And, man, I wanted to find a place that was like Roseburg, where I grew up, where people cared about wrestling and the kids love it. And Mountain Crest is about as good as it gets, anywhere I feel like on the West Coast as far as fans and family support and alumni. And, yeah, it's an unbelievable place.
To want the job at Mountain Crest, to be the head coach of the wrestling team, I'm sure there was a line of people. When I talked to Rusty Lofthouse, your assistant coach, I wanted to ask you first about Rusty. What do you see out of him as an assistant coach? Do you see any future of him maybe being a head coach down the line?
Yeah, I love Rusty. The Lofthouses are really the reason why I mean, along with Davey, Davey and the Lofthouses go hand in hand in why I'm here and how I got here. Without the Lofthouses, the wrestling connection, and wrestling Raider and seeing Ethan wrestle, they're about the same age as me. Rusty is huge in our program. He helps out a lot with some of the little kids. He has little kids coming up through the program now, and his experience, and he's traveled everywhere, been to every big tournament you can ever think of, and he's a super valuable part of our coaching staff. And I love having him. It's amazing.
Coach, as you mentioned, the Mountain Crest has a rich history and tradition of success. I mean, is it 7 state titles, or maybe there's more?
I think last year we won 7. I told they put up banners and stuff in the gym, and sometimes they fall behind a year or so. And I told them maybe just wait another 10 or so years, and we can just put them all up at once. So that's kind of the goal and the hope, is to just keep them rolling and worry about the next one. So.
Well, the school has won 2 of the last 3 in the last 3 years, 2 championships in the last
Right.
3 seasons, and ranked as one of the top teams in the state coming into this season. So, what is that? How have you been able to build on that success and continue the success that was laid out before you?
Right. I mean, a big thing is, again, coming back to the community and the families. Wrestling is a huge family sport, and I think that's probably why I got into it, is because, I mean, I spent a lot of weekends with my brothers and sisters and my mom and dad in a gym. Doesn't sound very exciting, but when you're competing and you're traveling together, it makes a big difference in your outcome. And I feel like at Mountain Crest, the way that families approach the sport, they love their kids, they love wrestling, they want their kids to really excel. It's really just, I coach. I'm the head coach, but really, I try to coach families and coach parents and get them to love the sport of wrestling. And then it kind of takes care of itself, after that. If you can start them young, and if the kids come in and they love playing dodgeball and sharks and minnows and some of the games that we do, and then we do a little bit of wrestling, and each year we do a little more wrestling and a little more wrestling, and we travel a little more, and then we do a little more. By the time you get to high school, they know what we do at Mountain Crest. I've coached them. Our assistant coaches help out with the little kids. They've seen us. They trust us. I think that's a big thing, is just getting families to buy in, and then the kids seeing you enough that they trust you and they know that, you're their coach. So.
Did you ever, when you got here, now that you've won a state championship in dominating fashion last year, just cruise through competition, and you win the 4A Coach of the Year, did you see it happening this quickly?
No. When they, the team winning part, I don't know if I saw it coming. I hoped it would happen quick, because I'm a terrible loser. I hate losing. And it's, I don't know, you can talk to my parents or anybody, but I'm a pretty bad loser, and I get pretty grumpy. So I knew when I got here that we had a lot of work to do, just from a standpoint of continuing what Davey has done for so long. There's expectations, right? And I love having those expectations and that pressure to be able to perform. And I think that's what's kind of pushed me, is just, making sure that our kids are ready to go when they need to be ready to go. I had hoped that the team would, come along and win a lot. But the Coach of the Year thing, I remember, they announced, all the other coaches and the different awards and things they were doing. And then they said the 4A Coach of the Year. And I'm like, I wonder who it'll be. It didn't even really cross my mind. I kind of thought, the Uinta coach is awesome, and I really like the Bear River guy, and I mean, they do a tremendous job too. And so when they said my name, I looked at my coaches like, what the heck? I'm just a kid. So it was a great tournament. Our kids did really good, and it was really a pleasure to get it. I was, it kind of excited my 3-year-old maybe a little more than me. So he gets the Coach of the Year plaque. It's hanging up in his room, and I think my family, my wife, and it's good for them to see all the time I spend away from them. I think it's good for them to see some reward from it, and it's been a great opportunity. Last year was a great year. I hope we can keep building and keep improving.
Well, you say keep improving. Easton Evans is a state finalist. He comes back. Brock Hansen, a state qualifier. He's back. Luke Schroeder's a state champion. He's back. State finalist Terrell Lee's back. I mean, you've got a list of experienced wrestlers coming back to the squad. You guys start off hot. You guys beat Wasatch 52-21. By the way, I called Wasatch and did some research. That's their worst loss in 15 years. As a squad, that you guys just delivered a beating 52-21 to them. You beat Payson by 17 points. This group has a chance to be the most dominating wrestling team for Mountain Crest ever that the school's ever produced, and that's saying something. What have you seen out of your kids so far, and what do you look forward towards when you come to region duels?
Yeah, we early on, I think the key was just to get our kids in shape. The season being a little, pushed back a couple weeks. We originally start, usually in November. We didn't really get a start until, December. And then, just with COVID and everything, I think it's really important for us to get our kids trained and get them in shape. And I think, early on in the tournament, we were actually kind of sluggish. And I say sluggish, but we were wrestling awesome teams. I mean, Millard, Mountain View. I mean, our first couple duels, I felt like we came out a little slow and a little sluggish, but those teams are awesome. Millard is, one of the best schools in the state in any level, and I think they're 2A. Mountain View, they're a little bit of a bigger new school, and same thing. They're going to do really well at their state tournament. But I feel like once we kind of got in a rhythm, our training started to really kick in. Early on, people are able to kind of hang with us. But later, as the day goes later, I feel like we kind of get better. We start to find our rhythm. And we try to preach that, if we train hard and we try to outwork everybody, hopefully our conditioning will kick in and we can start to really put it on people. So when we get to region duels here coming up, we just hope that, over this break, we can train our kids up, get their legs feeling good and their minds right. And hopefully we'll be able to, take care of business and they can have a lot of fun.
Jay Tovey, the head coach for the Mountain Crest wrestling team, joining us here on the Full Court Press. And, Coach, you'd kind of alluded to it, but I wanted to ask more specifically, with COVID, it's a weird year, and how it affects teams and how they can practice. And just thinking about wrestling in and of itself, such a close contact sport. How do you handle that what are the COVID restrictions or protocols that you have to follow in that sport as close contact as you get to make it even work?
Right. So every day when they come in to practice, we have to do a symptom check. We take their temperature. We've built, I don't know if other teams are doing this, but we've built now pods. I saw like the NBA and the NFL were doing this where they get, like groups of 3 or 4 skilled positions and they'd put them together. That way if, one kid gets it, then, it kind of stays in the pod and it doesn't spread throughout the team. So it's been a little tricky. It's just trying to manage, it's hard too, because with this age, it seems like, some kids get it and they're really sick and some kids get it and they're not sick. So you try to just tell everybody to, hey, if you're feeling sick, try to stay home and, be safe. And, so it is a little tricky having to, do all the symptom check. And every time you get on a bus, you got to, check everybody and make sure you're good. And so, it's really, the wrestling's the same. But, the before and afters are pretty tricky, trying to just, manage. It probably isn't a big deal for, a lot of teams that have, 20, 30, 40 guys. But we, traditionally, and this year is no different, we have, 60-some kids on our roster. And, managing 60 kids with this kind of a situation has been a little tricky, but we've had lots of help. Our administration is awesome. We have a good athletic director and good principal, vice principals that help us out a lot and have our back. So it's been good and well ran. They're pretty organized and take care of us. So.
And you and Ajay had alluded to this non-region slate that you've gone through. You've been pretty busy. December was a busy month for you, but a little bit of a break now. But region competitions, they get started next week. Just right out the gates with Skyview, what does the Region 11 look like for wrestling? Who are going to be some of those schools that are going to challenge you for trying to unseat you?
Region 11's awesome. I love being here, because you don't got to travel that far. But our farthest competition that we have to go to is Bear River, so it's nice to be close. But everybody in the region has individuals that are going to push us, and that's the best part about Cache Valley. In our region is that, we have coaches that are really aggressive and want to get their kids better. I really like what Green Canyon and Ridgeline are doing. Logan and Skyview have been around for a while. They got some new coaches kind of going through, and they're, building, and they always have tough kids. Bear River, past few years has been our probably our toughest in region. And, anytime we wrestle, I expect our guys to go out and have fun and perform, but I always get a little bit of butterflies and a little nervous because, I want the kids to perform their best because they've put in so much work. And it's different when you're an athlete. When I was an athlete, I didn't, I got nervous, but when you're a competitor, you're just excited to go compete and go fight. And when you're a coach, I don't know, I'm almost more nervous as a coach than I am as I was as an athlete, just because I don't have any control in the actual moment. So I just try to wind our kids up and let them go and make sure they're prepared so that when they, we wrestle Skyview and Logan and Ridgeline, Green Canyon, Bear River. And I just, I want our guys to be ready, and I want them to have fun and put on a show for the fans. So, but every team's tough. My first year as a head coach, I was terribly inexperienced as a coach, and, just with the ins and outs of some of the little things that you do. And I've learned from those, and I've learned that you don't overlook anybody. Doesn't matter, if they've never wrestled a match in their life. You go out there, do what you do, and get off the mat as fast as you can. So that's kind of what we try to help our kids do when we get in, especially into this. January is a crazy month for us with region duels and tournaments, and so we'll prepare our guys and get them ready for that tough schedule.
When is your first region duel, Coach?
So we wrestle January 7th against Skyview, and then that same weekend, I think that's a Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, we're at the Richardson Memorial Tournament at Box Elder, which is usually, that's one of the tougher tournaments in the state. There's a lot of good teams that go there. So,
Coach, last question for you. It seems like, and this has been the complaint, for a lot of Mountain Crest fans, I guess, is that non-region duels have been more competitive for your resume and the experience of the kids than region. Is there anything you can say that would convince people that your region is still competitive in wrestling, despite what your resume looks like outside of region duels?
Right, yeah. So the reason we try to do, non-region duels is for fans, and, I think people like seeing, 4A state champs against 3A state champs, or, at the Wasatch duels, 4A state champs against Wasatch, 5A state champs. That's a lot of fun for wrestling fans, which is kind of a little population, but that's okay. Whoever likes to watch it, we like it. But, man, if you have ever been to a Mountain Crest Ridgeline anything sporting event, you can feel the tension. For some reason, football, basketball, volleyball, whatever it is, those are pretty dang fun. And last year, our dual meet at Mountain Crest, the score was not a true reflection of how competitive and how fun that dual meet was. I mean, it was electric. It's loud. The people love it. Every time we wrestle Bear River at Bear River this year, and anytime we go there, man, it's a show. It is fun to watch. The kids fight hard, and the coaches. I love that their coach over there. He's a great guy, Coach Smart. But he takes it seriously, and I love it. And he tries to shift people around, and we both want to win. And I think that's the best part about our region is, some people say, maybe it's watered down a little bit or whatever. But it's not. I mean, there's individuals at every school that are super tough and are in the finals and always winning tournaments. And so whenever we go to a region dual meet, or we have a dual meet at our place, it's always a good show, and we try to always make sure our kids are ready, to put on a show, because I think that's what people want. They want good matchups against tough kids, and we try our best to match up our best kids with their best kids. We don't want our kids to have easy matches, and then to go into the state tournament and have that be the first couple matches where it's close. I try to build the toughest schedule we can so that when we get to the state tournament's almost, an easier tournament than what we've been to. So we go to Wasatch, and we have our region duels, and then we scheduled JUAB this year and Box Elder, and we'll go to a Box Elder tournament, and we try to just, build our schedule as tough as we can so that when we get to the state tournament, we're prepared for some adversity, and our kids will be ready to fight through that.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on your success so far, and wish you the very best in the rest of the season, and be keeping a good eye on you.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.